Georgia Virtue presents the Let Me Tell You Why You're Wrong podcast.
Thank you for downloading episode 321. This week we have the Trump conviction. Biden tampering, harassing Congress. Zooming without a license. Real estate investing, the pendulum is swinging right in Europe. Chasing the White House. And zero down loans. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is my partner in this endeavor, Representative Emeritus, Ken Pullen.
Hey, Dave. How are you?
I'm on the right side of the grass, my brother. How are things going down with you and your campaign?
They're good. What do we got? A couple weeks left. Early voting starts June 10th around the state, and elections on June 18th. I'm not sure everybody knows. If you didn't vote in the primary, you can still vote in a runoff in Georgia. But yeah, it's all about voter turnout this time around.
Start knocking on those doors.
I know, but so many people. I saw somebody the other day online complaining about people coming around and knocking on their door, and I just don't think that's. I think the whole knocking on door thing is almost dead. Maybe the 55 and older group still doesn't like it, but honestly, if somebody comes to my door and knocks on it, I usually don't answer it. I don't want to talk to anybody that I don't know.
Well, I answer with a gun in my hand. It's not that I'm big, bad, and tough or anything else, but I don't know who the hell that is.
I know.
I had Joseph and Jason Avatarde knock on my door a few years ago, and I had the Beretta 92 FS in my hand. I'm like, all right, guys, hold on a second. Close the door, put my gun down, and went back out. And I'm like, why the hell are you guys knocking on my door? I'm like, you already know how I'm voting.
I know.
It's just no fun because you tend to put yourself in the place of the individuals that you're knocking on the doors. And I don't want my door knocked on.
Yeah, I really don't. I mean, I don't. No, I don't mind. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. And I think the younger generation is not a fan of people. It's invading their space, right? I think it's, most people don't like someone stepping foot on their front porch. A lot of times, doors I knock on, they'll have the Ring cameras now. And I've seen people put photos online to say, who is this person that walked out our front door? People just don't like you coming onto their property anymore.
I don't like it. No candidate likes knocking on doors. It's a necessary evil. But here's the thing. People tend to vote for people they think they know.
Yeah, no, it's still the best way to get somebody's vote is to shake their hand. And it's tough to shake a hand if you don't go to their door. You got to shake somebody's hand. You got to call them. Phone calls are good. But still, that personal touch wins votes. But on the other side of it, people don't necessarily want that personal touch.
Oh, it sucks. I mean, there are several candidates that I didn't like on paper that I met personally. I'm like, oh man, he's a good guy. And I understand you're talking to their representative. That's not who they truly are. But I tell people all the time, there is no good old boy network. If you want to be involved in the community, get involved. And that's how you get to know these candidates, is you get involved in the community.
Yep, I agree.
So, we got a big one this week.
Yeah, wow. Last week, yeah, that was crazy, wasn't it?
Trump was convicted of 34 counts.
Felony counts, not misdemeanors. So this was felony counts.
I don't even know how it rises to a felony. I don't know, man.
Do you even know what he was convicted of? I mean, I know they said he was convicted of this, but, from a lot of the legal scholars, they really tried to find something to convict him of. So they had to, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, but this was a really strange when you listen to legal experts online.
Well, they started with the fact that they wanted to convict Trump and then worked backwards.
Yes, right.
And they found this records case that no one was defrauded. There's no victim.
No, there's no victim in this case.
Hey, look, you and I talked offline. I'm not a super MAGA guy. I'm not a Trumper or anything else. I voted for him because he was the best option on the ballot. But I don't see a crime here because so what he's now convicted of is inflating the price of his properties when looking for a loan. Everybody does this. This is why you have.
That's what he was convicted of a couple months ago, right? This is trying to illegally influence the election.
How is this not influencing the election? How is this judge not influencing the election or attempting?
The judge needs to be found guilty too of influencing the election. But yeah, I don't know how he's found guilty of influencing the election. Each of these felony charges carries a $5,000 fine and a 4-year prison sentence. So he actually could be. That's going to be the talk of the town over the next month. I think. When is he actually getting sentenced? It's sometime in July,
June.
I think. Yeah, no, July 11th is the date
July,
that's been set for sentencing.
Right before the debate.
Yeah, this judge is after when's the debate? Is it sometime in June?
There's a debate in June. There's one in August.
Yep.
Man, I don't know. I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you imprison a former president. It's never been done before. He is, by law, by statute, owed Secret Service protection for the rest of his life. So how do you do this? Look, the conviction is not going to stand. It'll be overturned. But it's the interim, as we know with the Ashland Griffin case. She is currently serving prison time, but she's waiting for her appeal. So you sit in prison while you're waiting for your appeal to come up.
Yeah.
So I have no friggin' clue how you do this.
Yeah, I don't know.
He can be sentenced to house arrest.
But even if he was sentenced to house arrest, what are you going to say? A president running for office say a former president running for office can't get out and campaign. Are we going to put an ankle bracelet on Trump? But you know what's going to happen if this judge doesn't give Trump jail time? The lefties are going to go batshit crazy.
And if they do, the righties will.
I know, exactly. We're at each other's throat at the moment. I've been watching the reaction on Facebook. It's I don't have many Democrat friends on Facebook, but Republicans are putting a flag, upside down flag as their profile pictures now. There's a lot of back and forth at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics behind it, and I don't think the judge does either. This judge is an activist.
Oh, total activist.
So I like I said, I don't think it stands, and you know what? He doesn't want it to stand. He doesn't care. What he wants to do is influence the election.
Yeah, there's no other way. Alvin Bragg, the DA up in New York, one of his prosecutors actually used to work in the justice system in D.C., quit his job to go work for Alvin Bragg to prosecute this case. This is just this was a mess of a trial, and I think a lot of people think it's going to be overturned in appeal, but the appeal could be 12, 18 months away, if not longer.
Exactly right.
Yeah, they even rushed this trial up this year. Like this trial, out of all the things that are going on in New York right now, the DA up there said, I want to pull this trial to the front of the line. So after, in front of all the murders, rapes, drug charges, all that stuff, this is what the DA in New York chose to move up to the front of the docket.
It's a records issue.
It's a records case. Yeah, 100%. And there's people that saying he got convicted of a federal crime in a state court, so that may be where all this unravels. Is that portion of it?
Yeah, it's a records crime. And after reading the transcripts, I don't see where he did anything personally. And
a star witness was a disaster, right? I mean, star witness admitted to stealing from Trump. Michael Cohen, he's just a despicable guy, and that was the star witness of the prosecutor. Look, I don't think the jury would have found Trump guilty if the prosecution wouldn't even put on a case. And that
Stormy Daniels,
8 hours. Yeah,
Stormy Daniels, who is literally a whore. Literally, I mean that she has sex for money.
Yes.
That's not me. Casting dispersions on a woman who acts like a man. No, she's literally a whore. Those are their two star witnesses. You have a whore and an admitted liar, a convicted liar.
Yeah, a convicted liar. Yeah, so I'm amazing this even got to trial.
It wouldn't. If it were you or me, it wouldn't make. There's no prosecutor that I know of, and look, I've known some really good prosecutors and some really bad ones. And I was just this past during Labor Day weekend, I was down in the Ogeechee judicial circuit, so I was at risk of being hammered by a bad prosecutor. But I don't know any prosecutor that would bring this to trial.
Yeah, me either.
And look, the Stormy Daniels testimony brought nothing to the case. It was. This is purely down to how the money was distributed, and who did it. So her testimony was salacious and unnecessary because she was the person who got the payoff. And look, if in some strange world, if I slept with Stormy Daniels, I would pay her to keep her mouth shut. I mean, what married guy wouldn't?
Well, yeah.
And look, this is a matter that should be taken between Donald and Melania, because it's their marriage, and that's it's something that should be handled there, not on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I know anything about anything, but I know this much that it's a private matter, and they should be allowed to handle it privately.
Well, you saw what Trump said after the conviction. He came out and he said, quote, "I'm a very innocent man. This was rigged, disgraceful trial. This was done by the Biden administration in order to hurt a political opponent. It's a disgrace, and we'll keep fighting. Our country is going to jail. We're a nation in decline. This was a rigged decision from day one with a conflicted judge. He should never have been allowed to judge the case. The real verdict is in November." Which he's right. I mean, the real verdict comes out in November when he's running against whoever the Democrat candidate will be, which I don't think still is going to be Biden.
Well, he's absolutely right in that, and like I said, I'm not a Trumper or anything else, but he's absolutely right in that the true verdict will come November 5th.
Yep. And then I had a couple things, a couple local. Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones came out and called Trump a political prisoner while urging supporters to fight back by donating to his bid. Kelly Loeffler said Trump was a victim of tyranny. We know if you saw Robert De Niro last week, it looked like an idiot up there trying to go against Trump. He had his little deal to say, this is part of the whole picture, so I'll be very careful. And then he opened up about Trump's conviction. He's a very anti-Trumper. And then one of our local, go ahead.
That ties in with last week's Mule.
Yes.
Because Bob De Niro was in Goodfellas.
Yep.
And again, one of my favorite movies.
Super.
I like Bob De Niro's movies, but personally, he's a turd.
Yep. And then Stacey Evans, who is a Democrat state representative in Atlanta, said, I think this will have a bigger impact on independent voters who don't want a president convicted of a felony. You can't understand the ick factor of that. I mean, I think she's right in that regard. This is not affecting any Republicans. They're still going to vote for Trump. Democrats are still going to vote for Biden. So are there?
Yeah, my Facebook is full of people saying I'm more MAGA than ever.
Yeah, but is there? Yeah, but they were MAGA before. I mean, they were voting
right.
Whoever.
Exactly. They didn't sway one way or the other.
And literally, the race is down to just 4 or 5 states. So the question is, how much does this affect people in Michigan? And a couple other Pennsylvania and a couple other swing states. So
I can't figure out Michigan. I can't believe they reelected Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah, we can't figure them out because if they will reelect Gretchen Whitmer, I can't imagine them not voting for Biden again.
Yeah,
how do you vote for Gretchen and then vote for Trump? That just I can't put those two together.
Yeah, and that's the thing is Gretchen Whitmer is an awful human being. She is. I mean, she's what I scrape off the bottom of my boots when I get home at night.
Yeah, it's just amazing she got reelected. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how Michigan's in play. Yeah, I don't know how Michigan's in play 2 years after she was reelected.
Well, that's my thing is I can't figure Michigan out.
Yep.
Ohio's a little different.
Ohio's solid red now.
But Michigan, Michigan, I can't figure it out. I mean,
what are the other swing states? So the other 5 swing states are
Arizona,
Georgia's
Florida, considered
Georgia.
a swing state.
Yeah, but Georgia's not a swing state anymore. I think we're a lot more red than they think. But it's places like Arizona, Florida's not a swing state. Nevada's a swing state. Arizona's a swing state. Michigan's a swing state. And then Wisconsin. That's really it.
Wisconsin's a big one.
Wisconsin's the other one. Yep.
Yeah, I can figure Wisconsin a lot better than I can Michigan.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, I mean the Wisconsin I think is going Trump. Just from the interviews I've seen and all that stuff from 30,000 feet above, I see Wisconsin going Trump.
Yeah, but it's the big cities. That's the problem. It's just like Georgia. I mean, you've got Atlanta and you've got the rest of the state. And we seem to think we're red because 95% of my friends are red down here in Pike County. But then you get in downtown Atlanta and 110% of the people there are blue. I mean, we've seen that, right? I mean, we've seen more votes come in from counties that you have people registered in. So what they say, what's the old saying? My dad was my granddad was Republican until the day he died. And then he turned Democrat. Yeah. I mean, so you just can't, it's hard to beat back when you've got 100% of Atlanta basically being blue.
You're right. And it's bleeding into places like Fayette County.
Oh, yeah. Fayette's gone blue. Yeah. Fayette County's blue. Fayette County's real. It depends on what part of Fayette, but Henry County is the one I was thinking. Hey, Henry County used to be hardcore red and now it's totally blue. Yeah. So Atlanta just continues sprawling out into other other parts of Georgia. And with it continues, people in Atlanta continue moving out and turning those areas bluer.
Even Paulding is turning bluer and bluer and bluer. It's not anytime soon, but I can certainly see.
Yeah, you can see it every 4 years or every 2 years when you look at like state rep races where they go from 82% to 79% to 76%, and you can see 3%, almost every 2 years, and it's just a matter of time before you lose it to the Democrats.
Well, speaking of Democrats, we get into Joe Biden and witness tampering.
Yeah, and this was a story that nobody talked about, but I did see a couple outlets put this online last week. So this happened last weekend, but this is less than 2 weeks, and it's actually less than a week now before Hunter Biden is set to testify. Before he goes to trial for felony gun charges. Joe Biden paid a visit to one of the upcoming trial's key witnesses, which is his eldest son who passed away, Beau Biden's ex-wife. When Beau died, Beau's wife then went out and had a thing with Hunter Biden. So he visited his daughter-in-law, Hallie Biden, who was set to testify in this case. Which is amazing, right? That the president of the United States would go visit Haley Biden, who is testifying in the case for Hunter Biden. And hardly anybody said anything about this. White House spokesman Andrew Bates told the New York Post on Monday that Joe Biden and his daughter-in-law did not discuss Hunter Biden's upcoming trial, which is laughable, right?
Yeah,
So
I never talked to my son about his business dealings.
Yeah, so he just stops by her house, but he doesn't mention a trial that's coming up in a week.
First of all, that's a power move.
Oh, 100%. This
I mean,
intimidation is just intimidating.
Yeah, it's a power move.
Yep.
It is slapping a giant ding dong onto the table because that's the president just came to visit you.
Oh, 100%. I mean, even at the state dinner that was held a couple of weeks ago, Hunter Biden was on the guest list. I mean, this guy's going to trial for federal gun charges, and he's up there hobnobbing with all the other, important people that come into the state dinner. So Biden is not distancing himself at all from Hunter Biden, but I mean, why would you if the media is not going to report on any of this stuff? So he's got to pass.
I don't agree with the 4473 to begin with. I think buying a gun should be the same as buying a shovel. You walk in, you give them money, you walk out with it. But if Biden stood up and said, "Hey, this is a Second Amendment issue. 4473 should be eliminated." Okay, I'm with you. But Biden is not a pro-gun guy, so he's stuck in this really weird sort of situation where he could come out and say that the 4473 should exist, but he wants a 4473 for private transactions.
Yes.
And 4473, for folks that don't know, is the application you fill out for the background check to buy a firearm. I have filled out many. That's not where Biden's coming from. Does he pardon his son?
Oh, yeah, no doubt he would pardon him. I mean, if this trial gets over, he's convicted, I think Biden pardons his son right away. I mean, there's no shame in these guys. I mean, we've seen that with the Trump trial. We've seen that with Trump being on trial in Atlanta. Democrats have no shame. They are unlike Republicans. Republicans at least think a little bit about how things are going to look. Yeah, Democrats have no shame. Yeah, he'll pardon him like the day after the trial ends. I have no doubt.
Does he wait till the end of the election season to do it?
Nah, he does it right away. I mean, nobody cares. The media won't talk about it. Media won't say anything. The media will just brush it under. So yeah, he'll pardon him right away.
So we have a guy that needs a hobby.
How about this? So a Queens man lives up in Queens, New York, pleaded guilty last Thursday to threatening to kill a congressional aide and to making more than 12,000 harassing phone calls to members of Congress over an 18-month period in 2022 and 2023. I need to get my calculator out. What is 12,000 divided by 365 times 2? It's a lot, right?
Look,
he made 18 calls a day to members. That's if you did it 7 days a week. That's crazy, ain't it?
I mean, the dedication to harassing members of Congress, I can appreciate.
18 times a day. So this guy's name is Ade Salim Lilly. He's 35 years old. He pleaded guilty to one count of making interstate communications with a threat to kidnap or injure, punishable by up to 5 years in prison, and making repeated telephone calls, which carries a 2-year prison term. He's going to be scheduled in Washington, D.C. on August 28th. 12,000 phone calls. Jeez.
Jesus.
I don't know if I've made 12,000 phone calls in my life.
You're a politician. I assure you have.
I don't know. I'm more of I've sent 12,000 text messages, but I'm not sure. 12,000 phone calls.
The dude needs help.
Serious help.
And look, that's not me being snarky or anything else. Is the guy really needs help? He has some sort of attachment to elected officials that he really needs to work out with a therapist.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that the jail time is the right place for him. I really, really, really think this guy needs help.
Now, what you don't see on this story is like, who was this guy? Like, was he a Democrat, Republican? That's what is most of the time. If this was a Republican threatening Democrats, that would be the lead story. But I haven't seen it, so maybe he just was an equal opportunity caller and just called everybody.
Well, I mean, based on his name, you tend to think that he's Muslim. But that notwithstanding, like I said, this guy really, really, really needs help.
Yeah, he does.
He's not. I don't think he's a threat. If he were a threat, we'd know by now.
Yep.
But this guy needs to sit down and talk to somebody. And so we're down to the dumb criminal of the week.
Yeah, this dumb criminal week. I saw this story and it made me laugh so hard. So this video, there's still, even after COVID, after 4 years of COVID, we're still doing virtual Zoom meetings where defendants don't have to come into court. So there was this trial last week where a defendant, he was virtually attending a hearing about his suspended license. And the video begins with Judge Cedric Simpson. He's waiting for this guy. The defendant's name is Corey Harris. The defendant, to join the hearing, this was happening in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But when he joined the call, the defendant says, Mr. Harris says, hello, he says, while apparently steering. He was wearing sunglasses and had a seatbelt on. So again, this is about a suspended license. So the judge said, Mr. Harris, are you driving? And he said, yes, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. And he said, so give me 1 second. I'm parking right now. So then the judge was like, isn't this case about a suspended license? And the lawyer, Mr. Harris's lawyer, was like, yes, Judge, please give me just a minute. He goes, hold on. So you're representing a guy who was on a suspended license. He doesn't have a license, and he calls into this hearing driving his car. He reprimanded this guy back to jail. He said, come back now. So he's having to go back to jail because he did this.
There are many levels of stupid. This was
pretty high up on the totem pole.
Yeah, I mean that. I don't agree with the idea of needing a license, but if that's what you're on trial for, maybe not be committing the same crime while in court.
I know. This was, if you want to look this up, I think there's a lot of TikTok videos and Instagram reels that show this whole situation, how it played out. It is really funny to watch. The judge is just stupefied. I mean, it's almost comical to the judge that the guy's calling in, driving his car to a case. Said he was on the way to the dentist.
Oh, man. I mean, speaking of Michigan, not being able to figure it out.
Yeah, and you wonder why they elected Gresham Whitner? Probably because of stuff like this.
But good God, man. My goal in life is to avoid going to jail.
Yeah, mine too. I haven't been.
Not yet.
No, I'm not going to jail. Yeah, I'm not going to jail. I'm pretty, unless something crazy happens.
You're not going to jail, you go to prison?
Straight and narrow, my friend. I don't try to do stuff that's going to send me to jail, or you can die doing like skydiving or bungee jumping or any of that stuff. So we're pretty, we're pretty calm down here in my area of the woods.
Dude, endangering your life is fun.
I don't know about that. The older I get, the less I want to do that.
So the closer you get to the end, the more careful you are about it.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Once you get up around 50, my age, you're a little bit more careful.
So investors are buying up all the houses in Atlanta.
Yeah, this is a story that a lot of people are starting to talk about, and they're starting to talk about it nationally too, where there's just not a lot of inventory out for homeowners to buy. And what you're seeing is investors are purchasing all this property around cities and even towns where I live in, and then they're renting all the property out, which is driving the what it costs to rent through the roof. So this was according to Redfin. From last year, investors in the first quarter of 2024, actually just some Redfin, but in the first quarter of 2024, investor purchases of homes exceeded $1 billion, according to a recent report. This is down by almost 4%, but which means they purchased over $1 billion, first quarter of 2023 also. And Atlanta ranks 10th among metro areas for the share of homes being bought by investors with a 21% share. So 21% of the homes are being bought by investors and then, being rented out, which is driving the rental market up a lot.
Well, even individual owners of rental houses often use management companies.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's such a pain in the ass to rent your house. So they pay 10% or whatever the rent is. I see stuff on community pages all the time does anyone know any individuals that are renting houses? No, because most individuals still use management companies. And the biggest reason is they vet the renters.
Yep.
And it's something that's very difficult for an individual to do, because you don't have the resources that a large company has to vet your renters. And your home is an investment. What people need to realize when they talk about this is in their 401ks, they may own shares of these companies that are renting out, renting out houses.
You can buy shares. They're called real estate investment trust or REITs. These REITs you can buy them on the New York Stock Exchange, and they perform. They don't perform. These are high dividend paying type investments. So a lot of these REITs pay 6 to 8% in dividends. So it's a place that you can park your money and make really good dividends. The stocks don't go up a lot, but they just pay extremely high dividends.
And look, that's the real estate game. Mm-hmm. And they have their, they have their weenies way out, because if it crashes, they're stuck upside down. So yeah, it's high risk, high reward, but I don't have a problem with real estate firms owning a lot of real estate. It doesn't bother me. It's just the way things work. And if you want to blame anybody, you blame the Federal Reserve for allowing renters to not pay rent for 2 years during COVID.
I know, that was crazy.
So that's what pushed out a lot of individual owners, is they couldn't go 2 years without.
Yep.
And keep in mind, during that 2 years, if the air conditioner went out, they still had to go out and fix it.
Yeah, so you're talking about $10,000 to $15,000 to fix the AC.
Yeah,
and there's no income coming in.
Yeah, the roof, the water heater, whatever else, they were still on the hook to pay for that without getting any income in, and that killed the individual property owner.
Yep.
And when you talk about landlords, a lot of them are people. Honestly, a lot of soldiers do. They'll move out of their, because they get PCS'd, permanent change station. They get PCS'd, and they don't want to sell their house, but obviously they can't occupy it because they're going from Fort Stewart to I don't know, Sam Houston, whatever. That doesn't matter. But they want to retire and go back to that house. So they rent it out. And if you go 2 years without collecting rent, that's a killer.
Yep,
it's absolutely a killer. And what do? When you get that notice in the mail says, "Hey, we'll buy your house," and you know what? You do it. You sell out. You get out of it, and I don't blame the individual owners for selling out. It was the government that caused this. And now they're looking for the government to create a solution for it.
I know, exactly.
So Europe is swinging right.
Yeah, now the headline of this article was Europe is shifting to the far right, which I'm not sure I understand or know what the far right is anymore. It just seems the label that liberals slap on people to make them seem real scary. But yeah, so next week... actually, this week, as the show drops, 373 million Europeans will go to the polls, and they elect 720 members of the next European Parliament. So, the countries that are in the European Parliament, there's 720 members that then pass laws and regulations and all that kind of stuff over the states or over the countries over there, like Spain, Ireland, Ireland. Who else is in there? Portugal, probably. Whoever's in the European, in the Eurozone. Yeah, in the EU. So, yeah, what they've seen over the last few years is there's been a shift pretty demonstrably from the left to the right, which is, going to have major implications for the future going forward over there, from immigration to how they treat Ukraine to climate change and all this stuff. And I think all those things are probably why they're moving to the right. Because Europeans are just like us. They see their hard-earned money going to spend, going to fight climate change, whatever that means. They see unmitigated, migration coming up from Africa. And if you've been to Europe lately, you've noticed, in Paris, there are some areas in Paris you can't go anymore because they're like a country over there inside of Paris. It's like really, really dangerous. So I think you see this because of the liberal policies, and these leftist policies have just continued to fail in Europe, and that's why they're shifting to the right.
Well, I saw the same thing in Spain, just walking down the beaches, and
right,
the Africans, and look, this is not talking about black people; they're literally Africans, but they will harass you walking up and down the beach to buy BS
a drink or to buy a little margarita. They sell everything,
and it is very apparent. Now, luckily, I don't look very approachable. So, Connie and I walking down the beach in Puerto Banús, which is the south of Spain. Not many people bugged me. I saw them around, but I don't look all that approachable. I was walking through, I don't know if it was Costco or Walmart or whatever, and somebody was selling cell phone stuff or satellite stuff. I don't know, but he crossed my path in order to talk to me, and I said, "Do I look like Mr. Effin' Friendly to you?"
Oh, that's funny.
And push past him. But when you're talking about resort towns, it hurts them because people don't want to deal with it.
No, and it makes you feel uneasy, especially in Paris. We walked through spots that just doesn't, they're staring everybody down, and it doesn't feel comfortable. And I think that's what's making this move is people want to control this mass migration, or nobody has coped with it, I think, or nobody has put a plan in place for it. And it's just like the United States. Our borders are basically open. There's no plan. There's just nothing. And that's what's happening over there.
Well, it certainly is. And look, regulated immigration is very important. We don't have a birth rate that will sustain the need that we have. regulated and controlled immigration is a good thing.
Yep.
And I don't have anything against, anybody that comes from Central America or South America or anything else. I don't have anything against them. But we have unregulated, just a free-for-all. And I know it's strange for someone who leans libertarian to talk about regulated, but without borders, you don't have a country.
Yep.
So it's not surprising that Europe is pushing right. It's what we talked about last week about the bowstring. Is you keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and when it releases, there's a lot of energy behind it going the other way.
Mm-hmm. That's what's happening with Trump in the U.S. What's bad is if he does win, there's going to be so much of that pent up energy and that you just don't know what's going to happen. And it's going to come from both sides. I don't like it when it gets pulled that or wound that tight, because nothing good comes out of the release.
Look, the ideal thing is for the pendulum not to swing at all. Is you have people pushing on the right, you have people pushing on the left. So the ideal situation is the pendulum doesn't swing one way or the other. But what we're seeing right now, and now this is globally, is you keep pulling that bowstring back, you keep pulling the pendulum back, and when it gets released, it's going to go the other way.
Yep.
And for those of us that are on the right, we could be happy and celebrate and all that stuff, but that's not a reason for celebration, because it's fickle. It'll, just like the pendulum, it'll swing back the other way. What you're trying to win is hearts and minds. And I know that as a psychological operations person, I don't often use that term. But what you're trying to win the next generation. And that's not what's happening. What's happening is it's fickle. Is people are going back and forth with the pendulum.
Yep.
And that's a problem. So we got Chase.
Yeah, and you just mentioned libertarians. I think you would probably classify yourself as more of a small L libertarian versus a party libertarian. But they, the Libertarian Party last weekend nominated Chase Oliver for president. So they have a caucus style or convention style nomination for their representatives. What was interesting at their convention is President Donald Trump actually spoke at their convention, and he received some claps, he received some boos, but I thought overall he was well received. He mentioned that he would pardon Ross, what's his name, Ulbricht, who was the inventor of the Silk Road back in the day that got in prison for running that website. He said he'd give a libertarian a spot on the cabinet. So he made a lot of promises to him to try to pick up some of that vote. And then they had Robert Kennedy speak. But so at the end of the convention, they nominated their candidates. Chase Oliver is nominated. I think a lot of libertarians are disappointed in that nomination. Chase is more, I would say, comes from the left side of the Libertarian Party versus the Ron Paul side of the Libertarian Party. But that's who's going to be on the ballot this November for the LP.
Look, Chase Oliver is one of the nicest guys you ever meet. I've spoken with Chase a few times. He is a very, very, very nice guy.
He is, but he's not a candidate for the Ron Paul type.
Right. That's always
that
was
libertarians.
That was my next statement.
Yeah.
Was he is not what we would consider classically a libertarian.
No, I mean he's has some bad takes in the past with drag queen shows. You should be able to have drag queen in front of children. Children should be open to have gender reassignment surgeries. He comes from that side of the party, which I didn't realize that was even libertarian, but he has those type of views. So I think that's going to really hurt chance to pick up any support among the Ron Paul sort of small L libertarian group that doesn't like the state, the continual increase of the deficit, increased spending, all that stuff, the continual growing of the federal or the national party. So I think they're going to have a big challenge with him even getting 1% and ballot access back at the state level in 2026.
Yeah, like I said, he's a super nice guy. I just don't think he fits the mold.
He doesn't.
Now, what is the mold? Is the mold John McAfee?
Yeah, I don't know you could say the same thing about the Republican and Democrat Party now. Like, I don't know what the mold of the Republican Party is anymore. It used to be more, you still got a lot of, Reagan Republicans. You've got a lot of Republicans that want small government. Those days have shifted. Those days are gone. When is the last time a Republican in Washington voted to decrease spending? When is the last time a Republican voted to not give money to Planned Parenthood? And you could say something about Democrats, right? What do the Democrats even stand for anymore? They're not classic liberals anymore. They let the hard left run the show up there. So I don't even know what the mold of any party is nowadays. It seems to be personality driven for over anything.
It is, and that's what Trump is he's a personality.
Yeah, populist, right? I think populism is running a country now versus any type of ideological beliefs and small government type policies. I think it's more populist. It's more however the wind's blowing, and that's sort of the way that policy is working in today's world.
This is a good time to remind you that these are our opinions, not those of anyone not on the show or any respective company for which we may work, own, or otherwise associate ourselves with on a regular or irregular basis. Also, you can find other episodes and relevant stories over the georgiavirtue.com. All right, Kenny, give him the mule.
Khloe Kardashian is the mule of the week, and she's taken a lot of heat for what she said last week. She was on Good Morning America. She commiserated about her situation last week. She's actually got 2 young kids now, but she said she was exhausted living without a nanny and raising her 2 children. She said this quote, "It's like cool half the time, but I make all of her lunches. I make her dinners. I do everything. I don't let anyone else do it," this reality star continued. Tristan, who she co-parents with, has done it, but I'm so particular. So basically, she's saying she can't raise 2 kids with a full-time nanny, and people are letting her have it.
I'm sure they are.
Sometimes you just need to keep your mouth shut if you're rich, right? Just keep your mouth shut. Don't say you need a full-time nanny.
But you don't understand. She doesn't comprehend anything outside of anybody having a nanny.
That is true. She's grown up around that. So for her not to have a full-time nanny, it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, she can't imagine a world in which she doesn't have a full-time employee helping take care of her kids. So it's lack of perspective. And she grew up a Kardashian and all that stuff. So that's all she knows. And what's funny to me is the backlash, because I guarantee you she's shocked. Like, doesn't everybody?
She's shocked that people are having this backlash to her statement. Like, everybody doesn't have a nanny out in the real world.
And look, I have never seen an episode of the Kardashians.
I may have, but it's been years ago.
I mean, it's just
I think I saw
not
it before.
my thing.
What's his name? Switched. I think that's how long it's been.
Oh, Bruce?
Yeah, I saw it when Bruce was actually Bruce and not whoever he is now.
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of the Kardashians. If they went off the air today, I wouldn't know. I know that if OJ hadn't killed those folks, then we wouldn't have the Kardashians.
Very true.
So I am more in remorse for for the American public having the Kardashians than I am for Nicole Brown Simpson.
Yes, right.
So, man, I don't know, but yeah, poor me. I have to make lunches so my nanny doesn't have to. Yeah.
I know. I feel so bad for her.
So zero down mortgages are making a comeback.
Yeah, I thought we were behind this point, but there's been a new program that was launched 2 weeks ago by one of the nation's largest mortgage lenders, which is a new 0% down mortgage payment. This program has been offered by United Wholesale Mortgage. Basically, the program allows the buyers to pay 97% of the home's value or the first mortgage. So you get a first mortgage with 97%, and then you take the remaining 3% and you put that into the form of a second mortgage, which seems kind of screwy. These mortgages are only open to first-time home buyers and those making no more than 80% of the area's median income. So these, again, are open to first-time home buyers, people not making a lot of money.
Subprime
right?
lending.
Yep. And you get to take 100% mortgage out.
Look, this is going to sound
what could
elitist.
go wrong here?
Yeah, this is going to sound elitist. If you can't put 20% down, you should not be buying. And I know that 20% has gotten a lot more. I mean, you're talking about $100,000 on a $500,000 mortgage.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but if you can't muster that, you probably all right, here's the deal. If you have buy-in on that property, you're more likely to make the payments. And that's why banks want that buy-in. It's yes, they look at the retail value and lend off of that, but they want buy-in.
Yep.
That's the reason that they want 20% down is they want personal buy-in. We are starting to see a softening of the real estate market. Realtors will tell you it's not happening, but I'm seeing it every day where I start seeing houses go for $400,000, $390,000, $380,000. So we're starting to see a slide on that. So what happens when you get 100% financing and now your house is upside down?
I know.
We know what happens because we saw it in 07 and 08. We saw it happen. We saw what happens when people don't have that buy-in, when people don't have that equity in the house, is it starts going back. As banks start taking houses from people.
I know. We don't want to get to that point again.
Oh, that's what's happening. Because we are seeing a softening of the real estate market. It's not necessarily that the values are going down, but they're not selling as fast as they did. Right. So that's marker number one, is houses are sitting around on the market longer and longer and longer. So that's where we start seeing the softening. With interest rates, 8-9%, we're just not seeing houses move as fast as they were.
Yep.
So, when you look at the market like that, when you see things start to slow down, the banks are what they're doing is, if they take enough bad loans, they'll get some good ones and make up for it. This is what caused the subprime problem back in, again, 07, 08, were the subprime mortgages. People can't afford the houses they're buying. And then we act shocked when those houses go back to the bank.
Yep.
So it's, financially speaking, you just can't. You can't give somebody 100% financing. This is not a car.
If you take out a 30-year mortgage, you're not paying any principal for you're not paying much principal for 5 or 10 years. So your house just sits there and you haven't paid off anything. So if you do, like you said, have a dip in the housing market, you're underwater almost instantly.
Yeah, and look, this is not a car. This is not a 5-year loan. This is a 30-year commitment. And with somebody with no buy-in, 100% of it's financed, no buy-in by the borrower, there's no negative effect to them to walk away. If you have $100,000 into a $500,000 house, you want to protect that investment. So you do everything you can to protect that investment. If you have 0% buy-in and you walk. So I don't know how anybody thought this is a good idea, other than selling enough mortgages doing it that you're going to make up for the ones that go back. And honestly, if an individual pays 2 years into a mortgage, and like you're saying, it's all interest, and then the bank takes it and resells it, the bank's still on the positive.
Oh yeah,
they still made money. All right, Kenny, as we wind down, you have any closing thoughts?
Oh, I just can't wait. I can't wait to see what comes out of this Trump trial and how what happens over the next month or so. It's going to be so interesting, to see what happens. And then I know this is what is this episode dropping on June 3rd? So we'll be right in the middle of Pride Month. So we'll have to see all the activities going on during this month.
I assume you're celebrating Pride Month as you campaign.
Nah, my campaign does not celebrate Pride Month. We'll let other people do that.
Yeah, I don't care about Pride Month. I mean, we're here, we're queer, get used to us. I'm like, yeah, we are. We're used to you. It's cool. I mean, go be you. I don't care.
I know, just go be you. I think we're all pretty much don't trans our kids, and don't put kids in front of don't go in front of kids and all this crazy stuff. But besides that, just be you, and don't keep shoving it down our throats, which is what happens
so to
in
speak.
Pride months. Yeah, which is moving on, which is exactly what will be happening over the next 30 days.
I just don't care. It doesn't register to me one way or the other. I don't care. I've got gay friends. I got straight friends. I just don't care. It's just.
I don't understand the performance of June though. Like, why an entire month? That's what I can't get behind. I just don't get that.
Well, and the poor black folks only get 28 days.
Yeah, 29 every once in a while.
Yeah, 29 every 4 years. I don't give a damn about months. We're celebrating this month or whatever.
We've got too many celebrations nowadays. Every time you turn around, it's National Donut Day or National Hot Dog Day, it's just too much stuff nowadays. I
could go for a donut right now.
I could too, but I don't have to celebrate it.
Yeah, there's no celebration, but Connie and I were heading down to Statesboro, and I saw a sign it's across the street from the Krispy Kreme, and she and I both were like, I could go for a Krispy Kreme. It wasn't the restaurant that was advertising. It's like, across the street from the Krispy Kreme, where the hell's that? So the only thing I have is, if you like what you heard, share us with your friends. If you don't like what you heard, inflict us on your enemies. I'm Dave Roberts. With me is Ken Poland, Representative Emeritus, and making the audio listenable is Eric Cumby in the background. Have a great week. I've been running from the law. Hope they won't shoot me down soon. They sing on a sleepless night. Try to catch me howling at the moon.